Hi guys, this is a review of the Logitech Harmony 1100 remote control. With the advent of home theater, a lot of us are finding that we're having more and more remote controls. Pretty much every device in our home theater has a remote control, and you start ending up with a ton of remotes, and in order to turn everything on you have to use a bunch of different remote controls. It's kind of inconvenient. So one solution is what they call a universal remote control, or a smart remote, or whatever you want to call it. And at the forefront of this technology is a company called Logitech with their Harmony remotes. Now this is model 1100. This is their top of the line model, and I'd like to just do a review of it for you. Now this is a little bit different looking type of remote. Rather than just being the normal looking remote, this is like a flat type like this, which you really have to use two hands on. And it has a touch screen, and it also has hard button controls. Now the hard buttons are for your functions such as volume, channel. It's got the four-way button with the OK in the middle, and it's got up-down buttons. And the other functions are handled by a touch screen. You also have an activities button here, and I'll explain that in a minute. Now, the way that these remotes work is you have a software on your computer, and you program it by, first you tell software what all your components in your system are. You tell them, like, say, your receiver would be like Denon, and then you tell it the model number. And you go through it and you tell it what each of your components are and the model numbers of each component. Then you set up your they call activities. Like, say you want to watch a DVD. Well, then it will say, okay, what do you use to play it? And you say, well, I use my Sony DVD player. And what do you use to control the volume? You say, I use my Denon receiver, and so forth. That way it knows what to turn on and what functions to turn on to watch, to do this particular function. So when it comes time to do this, it will automatically turn your TV on. It will set it to the correct input. It will turn your DVD player on. It'll turn your receiver on, set that to the correct input, and so forth. So with one button push, you're basically controlling all your devices and setting it up for that particular activity. Then when you go to watch your DVD, the volume control will control the volume on the receiver, and you'll have transport controls on your screen for your DVD player. And basically you'll be able to control your entire system with this one remote control. Now this remote comes with a rechargeable battery in it, and it fits on a stand. So when you're not using it, it recharges the battery. So you don't have to worry about running out and buying batteries, because I've had remotes in the past where they've went through a lot of batteries, because you're using it a lot and stuff like that. So a rechargeable battery for something like this, I think, is a very good idea. I've had this remote now for about a week, and I'm very happy with it. I've had absolutely no problems with it. It's just pretty much worked flawlessly. One feature it does have is it has a help feature, whereby if you go to do an activity and say, okay, my DVD player didn't come on, or my TV didn't, gets turned to the right input or whatever, you push the help button, and then it will say, okay, now is the DVD player on? And if it is, you set yes. Or is the TV on? You say yes. Is the TV set to the HDMI 1 input or whatever? And if it's not, you set no. And then it will go ahead and it will switch it over to the correct input. So basically they pretty much got you covered if you have any issues like that where it's not working. I would say it's pretty easy to program. Pretty much anybody that's had any computer experience and that knows anything about audio and video equipment, just an average knowledge, I would say, can program one of these. Unlike some other companies, which I will name, Universal Remote Control, they don't allow you to program their remotes yourself. you have to pay somebody to program for you. I was considering buying one of their remotes, but they've got a big sticker on the box that says, must be programmed and installed by a professional. No software or technical support included. So let that be a word to the wise. When you're buying something like this, make sure it's something that you can program yourself, unless you want to pay somebody a couple $100 to program a remote for you, which I think is ridiculous, and I certainly would not go in that direction. This remote was on sale for $349 at Best Buy, and the normal price is, I believe it's $495, and I know it's expensive, but believe me, this remote is going to make your life much easier. You're not going to have to screw around with multiple remotes, and if you have other people using your system, like kids or someone who's not familiar with audio and video, it makes it a lot easier for them, because they can just push one button and everything will just turn on and set up and they're good to go. And when you want to shut it down, it's got this button right here, an off button, and that just, with one push of that button, it turns everything off. So to sum up, I rate this remote very highly. I think it's a really good looking remote. It works flawlessly in my experience. It has anyway, and it's expensive, yeah, I'll give you that. But for what it does, I think it's worth the money. If you have a pretty elaborate system, if you've got maybe more than 4 or more remote controls, I think it would be worthwhile for you to get something like this. So I rate this remote quite highly. This can be found on Amazon. It can be found at Best Buy, and quite a few other different places have it. I would shop around for it. The price online is usually better than what you can get in a store. I mean, I've seen it online probably even like $100 cheaper than what I paid, but I just wanted it right away. That's why I went down to the store and bought it. But you may want to save the money and order it, which is probably a better idea. So if you need a remote control for an elaborate home theater system, you want to control everything with one remote, you want one that's rechargeable with a touch screen, which looks good and is very functional, I highly recommend the Logitech Harmony 1100. If you have any questions about this remote, feel free to ask them. And as usual, comment, rate, and subscribe. And thanks for watching my review.